Okay, then in the second assignment this week, instead of multiplying the algebraic fractions, you are adding or subtracting. You don't want to tear a piece of paper off or scratch paper somewhere, okay? So now this is a totally different ball game than when you were multiplying them, okay? You have to look at a key thing. So 2 over a plus 3, instead of times it says plus 4 over a plus 3. This is example 1. Okay, what you first do is check your bottoms. If they are the same, that is very good news, okay? If they're the same, circle one of the two. And you make one fraction and you just put that expression, a plus 3. Now, you just look at the top, you got 2 plus 4, and that equals 6. Now, that's the end of the problem. You just got to parenthesize the expression. If there's a plus or minus within an expression, you need to parenthesize it. See if it can factor, but this one obviously can't. The GCF's 1, and it's not adopts because it's 2 terms. 1, 2. So that's the end. 6 over the expression a plus 3. That one was pretty easy. Okay, next one, example 2. We've got 2x to the second minus 3 over x to the second minus 4x plus 3 plus x to the second minus 5x minus 9 x second minus 4x plus 3. Okay, check your denominators. Again, they are the same. That's very good news when they're the same. Okay, when they're not the same, we're going to have to take a little different route, but if they are the same, that's good. Okay, put that expression down here, x second minus 4x plus 3. Now, unlike the last problem where you just had to add 2 plus 4, you now have 2x second minus 3 plus 1x to the second minus 5x minus 9. Again, just circle one of the denominators and just forget about the other one. Okay, they're exactly the same, so that's the route you take. And then you just keep on writing. Okay, now you combine like terms. X second would be your highest, plus blank x plus blank. X second, 2 plus 1 is 3. X, you got negative 5. And then constants, negative 3, negative 9 makes negative 12. So that's what you're going to put. You're going to put 3x squared minus 5x minus 12. Now, this problem is a case in point why I want those parenthesized and you to at least check if they can be factored. Okay, that's the numerator. So, make a GCF and T-table. Greatest common factor is 1. You wouldn't have x, it would just be 1. 3 times negative 12 is negative 36, okay? So that's a positive times a negative, and we're adding to try to get to negative 5. Okay, eventually if you divide this by 4, you get 9. That works. Your a is a 3, though, so you can't just go x plus 4x minus 9. We got to make 4 parentheses, so we can go 3x plus 4, 3x minus 9. So 3x plus 4 remains the same. This divides by 3, and that would be 1x or x minus 3. Cross that out and rewrite it then. 3x plus 4 times x minus 3. Do the same on the bottom. Okay, GCF would just be 1. So we wouldn't have to do it. Table should work. Okay, 1 times 3 is 3, positive. So it's a negative times a negative. When that's a positive like that, we can always, and we're adding to try to get to negative 4. Doesn't take long. 1 and 3 is it. My a is a 1. So if a is a 1, now you can just write x minus 1, x minus 3. Okay, so cross that out, x minus 1, x minus 3. Now I think you can now cross those out, and the answer is just simply 3x plus 4 over x minus 1. Okay, example 3. I've got 5 over 6x to the second minus 5 over 8x. One thing, if you have a minus, you want to make that addition and just switch the number after it on top to its opposite. That's how you're going to fix subtraction. I don't know how many subtractions you have, but okay, we have a little problem. We don't have common denominators. That's 6x second, that's 8x. Here's what you do if you don't have a common denominator. So no common denominator. Okay, you're going to make two large fractions out of this, and you're going to write the word LCD right here. Now, on the way down, you need to see if you need to parenthesize any of your expressions. Well, there's no plus minus there. There's no plus minus there. There's no plus minus there. And there's no plus minus there. So nothing gets parenthesized. Then we're always going to be just dropping down the tops, okay? Now, if these don't have parentheses on bottom, we just drop them down. If they do have parentheses, we go here and see if we can rewrite them in factored form, but there are no parentheses, so it'll be 6x to the second and 8x. Okay, now here's how you get your LCD. You just look at the denominators. Put a times between the 6 and the x to the second, times between the 8. So on bottom, we have a factor of 6. We have a factor of x to the second, but what you call that is outs is just x. Call that x. Don't put x second, okay? Because x, x second, x third, x fourth are all the same category of factors, x. And over here we have a factor of 8. And we have a factor of x. See, but I already wrote the factor of x category. So that's the factors you have on bottom. Now, how many 6's do we have on this first fraction? You have 1. How about on the second? You have 0. Okay? So we need to make it so they both have 1. So I put a times 6, and you also got to do it on top. Okay, now they have 1 6. Each one has 1 6. Now, x. Having an x to the second means you have 2 factors of x. Having an x means you have 1 factor, so we need them both so they have 2 factors of x. I just put a second power on that x and times an x to the top. Okay, is how that's going to work. Now they each have 2 factors of x. Then 8. That has 0 factors, that has 1 factor. So how are we going to get them so they have an equal number of factors? Well, you're probably going to times an 8 to this one, and 8 to that one. Now you got your common denominator. Come down here, circle one of the two. I would like you to take 8 times 6, though, and write 48x to the second. Now, what do we got going on here on top? Well, we got 5 times 8, and cross out the other one. Plus negative 5 times 6 times x. Well, we have to find our products first, okay? So 5 times 8 is 40. Negative 5 times 6 is negative 30 with x, so plus negative 30x. Now, when you end up with that, you need to rewrite it so that the x comes first, and then drop that down here. Negative 30x plus 40. Now, you have a plus within that expression. Parenthesize it and try to factor it. I'm also going to introduce you to something to find GCFs, which might help this go a lot quicker. Google Gcf Calculator and click the first link, Calculator Soup. And if we're trying to find the GCF out of 30 and 40, it's 2 terms, so GCF DOPS. GCF. If I punch in 30 comma 40, it's going to come back as 10. It does need to be negative 10 though, because of leading coefficient's negative. Okay, so that gives me 3x minus 4, which is not a DOPS. So I cross that out. Negative 10. times 3x minus 4. Okay, now you have the one parentheses that will not be crossed off, so that's in your answer. Now, try to reduce, and you're going to try to reduce 10 and 48. Okay, so just look up the GCF 10 comma 48. You get 2, so you need to divide those each by 2. So negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5, 48 divided by 2 is 24, and you're going to have the x to the second. That's the final answer. So again, you're parenthesize and try to reduce the outsides if you can. Okay, example 4. We have 8. The next two examples are similar to the ones we just did. 5 over 6x to the second. Okay, you don't have a common denominator, so you need to make two large fractions and write LCD. Anytime you don't have a common denominator, you can't just jump down here. Okay, now, do you have anything you would have to parenthesize? Well, there's no plus or minus there, or there, or there, or there. So nothing goes in parentheses. So I'm just going to drop my tops down. And if the bottoms, there's no parentheses, I drop those down as well. Now, what do you have for factors on the bottom? Well, you have a 9 times x to the third and a 6 times x second. So we have factors of 9. Don't put x to the third, just put x, okay? Because you're going to compare this and this. And then 6. And again, don't write x to the second. You already have an x category. So 9, you got 1 and 0. So times 9 times 9. X, we have x third means there's 3 factors of x. X second means 2 factors. Get them so they each have 3. Okay, so if I just put a 3 on that one and then just times an x on top, I'm good. That's x third, that's x. Then 6, we have 0 to 1 times 6 times 6. Okay, then it works out the same as the last problem. 6 times 9 is 54 with x to the third. Now on top, you got 8 times 6. Plus 5 times 9 times x. Now 8 times 6 is 48. 5 times 9 is 45, but it'd be 45x. Now rewrite that as 45x plus 48. Okay. Okay, so I have 45x plus 48. Now, you need to parenthesize a plus minus, take it to a piece of scratch paper and see if you can factor that. Use that Gcf calculator I just showed you on your phone or whatever, okay? Make this go a lot quicker. Okay, GCF 45 and 48, what do we got? Okay, 45 comma 48, I got 3. Okay, so the GCF's 3, positive 3, no x because we don't have x there. So it's 15x plus 16. No way that's a dots, so I go 3, cross that out, put 3, 15x plus 16. So you're going to, in your answer, you're going to have the 15x plus 16. Okay, that's a given. Okay, you don't have any parentheses on bottom that could cross out with. Now look at your outside numbers, 3 and 54. What could you divide those both by? 3 comma to reduce the fraction. It says 3, so I divide those each by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 54 divided by 3 is 18. So it's going to be 1/18th. And then you're still going to have that x to the third down there on the bottom. GCF calculator can make it go a lot quicker. Okay, example number 5. 5 over 2x to the second plus 4 over 5x. Okay, again, you don't have the common denominator, so you need to rewrite the fractions and get a common denominator. First off, the tops we just drop, okay? And then the bottom, if we don't have any pluses or minuses within that expression or that expression, we just drop those as well. So what do you have for common denominators? Well, you got 2 x, 5, and then I already have x. So factors of 2, I have 1 and 0. So get them so they have 1. So times 2 times 2. X, we have 2 factors of x there. That's indicated by the second power, and then 1 factor here. So get them so they're at x to the second. Then you just times by an x there. 5, 0, and 1. So I times 5 times 5. Circle one of the two. Doesn't matter which one. Cross out the other one because they're the same. 2 times 5 is 10. It'd be 10x squared. Then you have 5 times 5 plus 4 times 2 times x. So that product is 25, and that product is 8 with x. So I've got 8x plus 25. Please put a parentheses around any expressions that have addition or subtraction signs within them. Okay, then we'll go to our scratch paper. GCF out of 8 and 25 I think is just 1. And since I can't take an x with the 1 and it's not adopts, we're done with this problem, okay? And you can't cancel the 8 and the 10. The 8 is part of the parentheses, so is the 25, okay? On those 2 problems before it, I was crossing out that because it was outside, okay? I didn't pull anything outside, so I have nothing to do with the 10, okay? Like unlike this problem, yeah, I pulled a 3 out because it was my GCF. Then 3 and 54 I reduced. You can't reduce anything here because you weren't able to pull any number outside. Okay, so make the distinction. Okay, if you want to pause the video and do numbers 1 and 2 on the assignment, I think you're ready to roll on those. And then resume the video when you're done with 1 and 2. Because the next ones are a little bit different animal. Okay, we've got 3x, 4x minus 20, plus 9x, and 6x minus 30. Again, you don't have common denominators. You are going to have to develop an LCD, lowest common denominator is what that's called. Okay, least common denominator, that's what LCD is called, lowest common denominator. Okay, the tops we're just going to drop. This and this would not need a parentheses because there's no plus in that, no plus in that. Now the bottoms is where you have to watch out for. You need to put that in parentheses because it has a minus. Same goes with that one. Then you need to attempt to factor those 2 expressions on bottom. You don't need to factor the tops, but you need to factor the bottoms. Okay? So we have 4x minus 20. Okay, so that would be GCF, and then seeing if we have a DOPS. See, none of the problems before did I have to parenthesize those, okay? Okay, GCF here is 4. 4 and 20 would be 4. Divide by 4, and you get x minus 5. 1x. That's not a DOPS. So you rewrite that. This expression here I rewrite as 4 times x minus 5. And then I'm going to have a similar situation here with 6x minus 30. GCF and DOPS. 6 and 30 is 6. Use your little Gcf calculator that I've told you where to find. Factor 6 out, and then that's going to be x, or 1x minus 5. Okay, now you can do your LCD, lowest common denominator. So I have a factor of 4. I have a parentheses factor of x minus 5, okay? That's why you need to parenthesize your bottoms, please, and then see if they factor when you are looking for a common denominator. Okay, then I have a factor of 6. And then I have another parentheses of x minus 5. Well, since I've already made a category for that, I don't need to write it again. So 4, I have 1, 0. Well, we need to get it so they both have 1. X minus 5, I have 1, 1, so that's good. I don't need to bring in parentheses of x minus 5 anywhere. 6, I have 0, 1. We need it so they have 1. Okay, circle one of your denominators now because they're both the same. Make one down here. Please take the 4 times 6, cross out the other one. 4 times 6 is 24, and then just leave the x minus 5 alone. Okay? All right, so now what do we have on top? We have 3x times 6 plus 9x times 4. Okay, so that's a product of 18x. That's a product of 36x, and we can add those together. That's 54x. Okay, so 54x. Okay, now I don't need to try to factor anything because there's no plus or minus within that 54x. This is already factored, okay? But I do need to see if I can do a reduce 54 over 24 with my GCF, okay? So 54, comma 24. GCF is 6, so we can reduce those, the 54 and the 24, by 6. Okay, you know you're going to have your x minus 5. 54 divided by 6 is 9, 24 divided by 6 is 4, and we're also going to have that x on top. And you're done. You don't cross out anymore. You don't cancel those x's because that x is in a parentheses, that one is not. Okay? You can't cancel x's not that are in parentheses with x's that are not. That's why it's important you put the parentheses. Okay, next one, we got 4x over x to the second minus 2x minus 35 plus x plus 6 over x second plus 7x plus 10. Okay, so we don't have common denominators, okay? So the tops you drop down, but if you have a plus within the expression, please parenthesize it before you drop it. Now these bottoms, I'm definitely going to parenthesize those. You have 2 minuses and 2 pluses. You need to see if those can be factored on a piece of paper, okay? So we're going to try to factor x to the second minus 2x minus 35. So that'd be GCF and table. GCF's 1, so that's not worth it. 1 times negative 35 is negative 35. We're trying to add to get to negative 2. Eventually, if I divide, and it's positive times negative because of a negative on the 35. If I divide 35 by 5, I get 7. There it is. Okay. A is a 1. That's good. So that's just x plus 5 times x minus 7. Okay, now factor the other one. Okay. The x to the second plus 7x plus 6. Don't try to factor the tops, just the bottoms, because the bottoms are what we're trying to get to be the same. It's pointless to even worry about the tops at this moment. Okay, GCF 1, 7, and 10, that's just 1. 1 times 10 is 10, that's a positive, so it's a negative times a negative, and we're trying to add it to get to plus 7. Eventually, if you divide 10 by 2, you get 5, which adds to negative 7. To make it plus 7, you just change the signs. Plus, plus. So A is 1, so you don't need it, and it'll just be x plus 2, x plus 5. So I just rewrite that as x plus 2, x plus 5. I'm running low on my factoring scratch paper, so I'll pull out another one. Okay, so LCD, well, they're all parentheses, so you have a parentheses of x plus 5, of x minus 7, and x plus 2, and x plus 5, which I've already written. So x plus 5, you got 1 and 1, so that's good. X minus 7, you got 1 and 0. So make it so they both have 1. So you raise that by a factor of x minus 7 and the top as well. Okay, x plus 2, you got 0 and 1. So you raise that up by x plus 2, x plus 2. Okay. Now you have common denominators. You have x plus 2, x plus 5, and x minus 7. Now you're done with those. So now what do you have left? Well, you got 4x times x plus 2 plus x plus 6 times x minus 7. So we need to basically multiply these out. We need to distribute here, and we need to do the FOIL method over there. So first, and I'm going to do it all at once, 4x times 1x, 4x times 2. Then we're going to take 1x times 1x, 1x times negative 7, 6 times 1x, and 6 times negative 7. So that's 4x squared, that's 8x, that's 1x squared, that's negative 7x, that's 6x, and that's negative 42. So x seconds your highest, okay? Because we have 4 plus 1, my bad. The 4 plus the 1 would be 5. 5x second. Then x, we got not 8, negative 7, and 6. So we add all of those together. So that's 1 plus 6 is 7. Then we have negative 42. Okay. Now, so you write 5x second plus 7x minus 42. So the bottom's already in factored form. The top, you can try it. But I don't know that that's going to work. Let me do something real quick. Yeah, that is not going to factor. Okay, you can do the T-chart all day, you'll never find it. So that is the product. We're not able to rewrite that expression. Okay. Okay, then the last one we've got 2x plus 7 over x to the second minus 2x minus 3 plus 3x minus 2 over x to the power 2 minus 9. Okay, definitely we don't have common denominators, okay, so LCD. Now, we're not going to factor the tops. We don't care about factoring the tops, but they do need to go in parentheses because there's that plus within that, and there's a minus within that. So you're going to drop those straight down. You do need to put them in parentheses with those. Okay, now our denominators. Definitely need parentheses, and then we need to see if those can be factored. So we have x to the second minus 2x minus 3. GCF and table. GCF's 1, wouldn't have an x. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. So it's a positive times a negative. We're adding to try to get to negative 2. 1 and 3 does the job. Okay. And a is 1. So it'd be x plus 1, x minus 3. Okay. Okay, x squared minus 9, that's an obvious DOPS, okay? I mean, there's no, the GCF's 1, but that's obvious. X, 3, 3 with a minus. Okay, so what do we have for the LCD? Well, we got x plus 1. We have x minus 3. We have x plus 3. Then another x minus 3. So x plus 1, we got 1, 0. So we need to raise the one with 0 up by x plus 1 and on top. Okay, x minus 3, I'm good there. 1, 1. X plus 3, 0, 1. Okay, now we have our common denominator, so I come down here and just go x plus 1, x minus 3, x plus 3. Okay. Okay, now what do you have left? You've got 2x plus 7, because forget about the other one too. As soon as I get the common denominator, I forget about the bottom. 2x plus 7 times x plus 3, 1x plus 3, plus 3x minus 2 times 1x plus 1. Okay, FOIL it. You got a FOIL here and here. Okay, so 2x times 1x, 2x times 3, 7 times 1x, 7 times 3. And over here, you're going to take 3x times 1x. It's all the same problem, so I just do it all at once. 3x times 1, negative 2 times 1x, and negative 2 times 1. So that's going to give us 2x squared, 6x, 7x, 21, then 3x squared, 3x, negative 2x, and negative 2. Okay, so x squared is the highest. We have two of those. We got the 2 and the 3. That makes 5. X's, we got 6, 7, 3, negative 2. Well, 6 plus 7 is 13, plus 3 is 16, minus 2 is 14, so plus 14x. Then the constants, we have 21 minus 2, that's 19. Okay. And I'm going to write that expression here, 5x to the second plus 14x plus 19, and that is not going to factor at the end, okay? Because if I take GCF, it'd be 1. Five times 19, 95, okay. Positive, so negative, negative, trying to add to 14. 1 and 95, not even close. 95 doesn't even divide by 2 or 3 or 4. 5 and 19, ooh, that actually works, 5 and 19. But remember, they both have to be negatives, okay? Negative 5, negative 19 is negative 24. It's got to make 14, okay? And I think those are the only ones that exist, okay? Okay, and there you go.